Hey, everybody, welcome to the show tonight. We are talking about wading through your obstacles. And I don't know if it sounds like a swamp that we're wading through or something, but
That's such a good image.
sometimes it can feel like that, right?
That's such a good image. Yep, that's
Yeah.
exactly how it feels. So,
My, my name is Dr. Asakar Bear, my co-teacher here, Leah Schaefer. We're here every week. We teach heart rhythm meditation, comes out of Sufism, the Sufism of Hazrat Inayat Khan. And so we're talking about the show, and we always try to do a theme, right? We're trying to help. That's what that's why we're here. And of course, we have no idea, like how we can be helpful. So we always deal with like, well, how are we feeling? What do we need?
yeah, what
Because
do we need?
yeah, this is like what we know, right? Um,
Yeah, what do we need and how would we address it with meditation?
yeah, yeah.
But please let us know what you need. We want to know. So,
We'll do our
that's why
best.
we're here. Yeah.
And I
Mm,
was feeling this like, I mean, I'm dealing with a lot of, and some of I'm going through a divorce. I've been married for a long time. My whole life feels like it's changing. The pace of change in my life
mm,
feels at the same time blisteringly fast and also not fast enough. Like some things don't move, and I'm like, oh, I want them to move. And um, it's difficult. I mean, it's a difficult feeling whenever you have it, right? To feel like I'm just, slogging through and whatever. Um, and I think a lot of people are feeling that way. So that's
yeah.
what we thought of. I mean, what do you think, Leah?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing, Asatar. Absolutely. Like it's like you're going through a lot in addition to what's all happening in the world. A lot of what I'm feeling is just like a very much a response to what's been happening in the US over the last several years, and much longer. I just wasn't aware of it. So, but yeah, no, and and I see it a lot. Like I see a lot of people, just a lot of my friends that are incredible human beings being completely burnt out by the system, and it's very difficult to cope with things that are just not right. So,
Yeah.
um, and so, when I first came to meditation, I struggled with depression a lot. So like in my especially in my teenage years and things, like I really really struggled with depression.
Mm,
And it was one of the benefits that I got from this practice, from heart rhythm meditation, is that it was like I accessed something inside of me that was more powerful than the pain.
mm,
But it definitely felt like for a long time, almost like just wading my way through swamp water. Like it was very much like it
yeah.
wasn't an easy fix. It wasn't something that happened quickly. It was like something that it took a lot of time. But it's like once I actually got there, and I would feel the difference. It would be like the meditation would help a little bit for however much time. I would feel the difference. But at one point, my heart became just so energized from the practices and so much more alive again, that it just didn't have an effect on me as much anymore. And I can say that that's pretty much true still today.
Hmm.
Um, but certain things do happen that knock us down, and that's okay. Like we're human. We're supposed to be knocked down. It's part of life. But I'm not justifying the bad things that are happening in the world at all.
Right.
But my point is like it's like at least now I know, like it's like I've been through this jungle before. I know that I can make it through it again, and that makes it easier. And so that's why I felt really passionately like, let's do a show where we are wading through these kind of waters with you, because I know that one of the most difficult things is to be going through it alone, and like to have that heaviness, that stuck feeling, that inability to have that feeling of hope or joy in your heart without your heart becomes heavy, right? And so anyway, this is why we're here today with each of you, is because we wanna work through this together, because that's, it's just better that way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah. We got a comment here from Philip. Negative
want
four
us to give up.
want us to give up. Yeah. We can't get into that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, Philip. I completely agree with that. And that's why it's like all the more important to kind of fight your way through. And at different times there's different ways to do that. So we're going to share just like some of our more like favorite ways of kind of processing these energies. But did you want to speak more on this, Asatar?
I just wanted to say, I think one of the things that um, I think we both felt was that that
Mm,
sometimes, there are spiritual teachings that are just incredibly helpful and incredibly inspiring and give you a new way of looking at things. And, like I'm a huge fan of spiritual teachings, right? Like I've spent a lot of time studying them, but sometimes there is no clear answer,
mhm.
and and sometimes, it can feel kind of glib, like when somebody suggests that there is, and
Yeah.
you know eh, eh, and so we sort of, I think we're both thinking of like, well, if it's one of those times, then we're not going to try and give you the answers, like we will be honest, like we also struggle, like, I mean,
Yeah.
whenever you teach meditation, people project all kinds of things onto you, right? And like they think that we're perfect and don't have problems, which is, not true, right? Obviously, and it's we all struggle. We're all dealing with this, and our journey. I think for especially me and Leah, like we're very committed to teaching. We're always trying to learn ourselves.
Mhm.
How can we deepen our understanding of these techniques of meditation, of what's going on energetically and spiritually for us, and sometimes we just need to kind of get into that flow, and maybe that itself is the answer.
Mm. Yeah, I love the way you articulated that. Because it's like our heart is living. All of our hearts are living, right? And
Yeah,
so Asatar and I are going to share a few tips and tricks tonight. But but the reality is like the answer is also within your heart. I know that sounds so cheesy, but it's true. It's true though. Like, what's going to help you? You kind of have to find your breadcrumbs, to make your way through the dark space, or like the that dark night that you might be going through. You kind of have to find the little itty bitty breadcrumbs that are going to lead you on your way, and those clues are inside you. It's like sometimes you get it from like an outer form, like a person or a book or whatever, or a TV show like inspires you, nature inspires you, but it's like that something happens inside of you where you feel, oh, there's something there.
yeah,
And that internal feedback is was really what you're looking for. So hopefully we're going to share some of our favorite things with you tonight, but just know that the medicine is in your own heart. And if
absolutely.
you listen, yeah, if you listen enough, it'll come to you. It'll
I
tell
have
you what
to
it
say,
wants.
I had this really interesting thing happen, Leah, because we talked about this theme yesterday, and then we talked about it some more today, and um, just kind of fleshing out our thoughts on it, right? But I'm laying in bed um, last night and just feeling, so stuck, feeling so sad, um, and so I start just doing some breathing, right? I'm just laying down, I'm not sitting, I'm not doing formal meditation. I'm just lying in bed, breathing, feeling really sad, feeling really stuck, you know,
Yeah,
and
totally. Been
and then
there.
it just all of a sudden, a common experience, right? Like so, all, all of a sudden, it just hits me. Oh my God, I'm fixating so much on all the external things, and I feel like this, and I'm not focused enough on the internal things, right? The internal
Yeah.
stuckness, the obstacles that I've created inside myself, that I'm carrying around with me, that I'm putting in my path.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
This is like our constant illusion, right? We always are like, oh yes, it's everything on the outside. That's my struggle, but it's not.
Yeah.
That's our illusion, right? It's on the inside, and luckily that's where we have the most control. I mean, that's the one thing we have some control over, right? Like, is ourselves. And it just, it's like sometimes these moments just hit you, right? Like, I wish I could say it was in the middle of
Hmm.
a deep meditation, but it wasn't. It was just like struggling, trying to cope, turning to my breath,
Yeah.
you know?
And sometimes, often, like when I go through major shit, I have to I have to do what you were doing, and I can't necessarily go deep with my meditations. It's like
Yeah.
the pain can become like an obstacle in itself inside yourself to access your heart. And like someone I know is like very much like not going into their heart because they know that their pain is there, you know what I mean? And it's like, how often we all do that. We all do that.
Yeah.
And so it's like the pain can become an obstacle to your own heart. It's like, um, I I should, there's this story of Hanuman, this fantastic story. But just I'll just real quick jump to the end. He has to remember who he is. And his friend is like helping him remember who he is. You are Hanuman. Who are you, right? And then he remembers who he is, and he leaps, to save the princess. And then he does the splits, which is the Hanuman posture, to go to this island to save the princess. But once he gets there, there's just like a ton of guards. There's a ton of like, I think they even call them demons there in the story. And there's just like a ton of these obstacles and these dark forces, like, before he finally gets to her, and she's wearing this golden sorry, this golden like outfit, and he
Mm,
has to whisper to her, but she doesn't trust it at first. And it's really, that's really the story of the heart, is like,
yeah.
first of all, remembering who you are, secondly, taking a huge leap of faith to come into your heart. Then once you're there, oh my God, like all your pain.
Yeah.
But it's like you're getting there to get to that golden princess, or that golden prince, depending on what you would prefer. And she doesn't even necessarily like trust you yet, you know what I mean? Like you don't necessarily have a relationship with your heart yet.
Right.
And so, but the fact is like, it's like once that remembrance becomes full, like the golden light, and the medicine that's inside of each and every one of you is totally there, and it's really waiting for you to come and be with it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful story, and you can really see the interpretation that you're placing on it, like that it's about this relationship with your own deepest heart, and uh,
Hmm.
that's a beautiful way of interpreting that story. Because
Mm.
this is one of these like great, yeah, myths, right, from
Yeah.
the tradition. And um,
Yeah.
you could give these all these stories have a whole bunch of different interpretations.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You can have millions of them.
Well, let's do some meditation then, and we'll focus on wading through these obstacles together. And we do this live because we know that you create a vibe together. And um, and we all do this, right? Like, I mean, it even happens if you're not watching this live or whatever. Like, a lot of people watch this show later. Um, but there's something very powerful about that. All the classes and retreats and all these times that I've sat with a group of people, um, there's something that is just mysterious about that. That the energy, the wheel of energy, gets going. So let's try and create that together.
Mm.
Um,
And yeah, sounds wonderful, Asatar. And since I went a little bit over with my story, just please feel free to take as much time in the meditation as you like.
all right. So let's start by just working on our posture and just sitting up straight.
Mm.
And there's something very powerful, just energetically, about sitting up straight. You're opening your chest, which a lot of times we kind of hunch and kind of hide like this, right? So we want to just really open that and put the spine in line, um, the shoulders back. Want the hands are relaxed on your lap, or mine are kind of resting on my knees. And then you close your eyes and you tune into your breath. And the first step here is just to notice that you're breathing and just pay attention to your breath. Notice your breath coming in and going out. Maybe just take a deep breath and let it out like a sigh. Sighing is a very powerful physiological mechanism that just lets go of some of that tension that you've been carrying that you don't really need to carry. And now begin to deepen your breath and bring it down deep into your belly. So let your belly expand as you breathe in. Let your belly blow up like a balloon. And then as you breathe out, contract your abdominal muscles and pull your belly in towards your spine. And you might notice that breathing deeply in this way, there's different ways of approaching that. You could just relax and allow all the tension to go away. And sometimes this is how you get into like deep breathing, because it is natural and it's how you breathe when you're relaxed. So, but we're doing this in a posture that's not fully relaxed, right? Because we're sitting very upright. And so this is a very interesting physiological state for ourselves to be in, right? Because being upright sends your body the signal that you're active and energized. But you're also being still. You have your eyes closed, right? Normally you have your eyes closed when you're sleeping. So we have a really interesting balance of opposites here. Your nervous system is, on the one hand, has a sense of arousal because your body is upright. And on the other hand, you're trying to just relax all of the tension that you don't need. And you see, there's a metaphor in here for us dealing with our obstacles, right? Like a lot of our obstacles are us holding on to things that we can't really control. And we delude ourselves and tell ourselves these lies that we can control things that we actually can't control. And maybe just try to let that down, just even for a little while. Maybe just even for one breath. Just try to release all of the things that you can't control. You might notice that it might actually feel kind of good to just let that fall away. Now, I'd also like to keep working and keep developing the breath, so make the breath slow as well. So breathe in, let your belly expand, let it blow up like a big balloon. Let down some of your armor. You know, we're always keeping our belly in, we're always keeping ourselves armored in that way. And just let that down. Let your belly relax. Let it just hang open. But then as you breathe out, be conscious about that your abdominal muscles have to contract. Contract them a little bit more than you normally do so that your breath is longer, slower. You're slowing down your internal rhythm. Your breath, the rhythm of your breath affects many other things in your body. You speed up your breath, you'll speed up your heart rate. You slow down your breath, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure falls. You enter into that part of the nervous system that's called the parasympathetic nervous system, the relax and chill aspect of our nervous system. If we continue on to develop the breath, we also want the breath to be rhythmic and heart-centered. And this carries a very important lesson. We want the breath to be the same length and intensity on the inhalation as it is on the exhalation. Very important lesson in this because we want to give and receive in an equal fashion. As we breathe in, we are taking in energy. Our hearts are taking in energy. And as we breathe out, our hearts are giving energy, radiating energy, expressing energy. We want these to be balanced. And so the best way is to make your breath balanced and rhythmic. And we want to connect the breath to our hearts, to the vital core of our being, to who we are, to what we value, to what we hold dear, to what we hold sacred, to our deepest truth, to that sacred vessel within us that holds infinity, eternity, perfection. And we can tune into all of that by focusing on our heartbeat. So if you can feel your heartbeat, that's good. Pay attention to it. If you're having trouble feeling a heartbeat, place a hand on your heart. See if that brings it into focus for you. Or you could place your fingertips on your breastbone and just lightly press. Maybe you feel the pulse in your fingertips. And once you're feeling that heartbeat, count the beats of your heart so that you have the same number of beats on the inhalation as you do on the exhalation. A good rhythm is 8 beats in, 8 beats out. So use the number that is right for you. And the final step in really working to perfect the breath, to optimize the breath, is to make the breath full. So where we started with just breathing into the belly, we want to continue that breath so that it fills up your belly, yes, but then continues on and fills up your entire chest, right? So we're not just breathing with the abdominal region anymore. We're doing that to begin with, yes. And maybe that's half the breath cycle, maybe more. Then we're allowing that to continue. We're expanding the sides of the rib cage. We're expanding the back. We're expanding all the way up to our collarbone. So you should feel that breath moving all the way between your pelvis and your collarbone, that whole area. You should feel that expanding as you breathe in and contracting as you breathe out. Making your breath very big, very full, very powerful, but also very slow, very controlled, very subtle. And what a beautiful contradiction that is, to be powerful and subtle at the same time. An incredible combination. I'll tell you, for me, that when I start, I just do, this is what I do every time I meditate. I do these steps. For me, it is the basics that I always return to. And sometimes when I was first teaching this, I kind of took it for granted that everyone knew it. But these days I focus a lot more on these basics because they've helped me so much. And I'm just noticing, just even going through this right now, that my heart feels like already kind of shrugging off some of my obstacles. like like as if it's, you know, I feel like some kind of big dog that just gets up and shakes off some, cobwebs or something like this, right? Because that's all the obstacles are to your heart. They're just like cobwebs, you kind of made them into too much. We worry about it and it's, oh my God, I worry about all these external things I don't have any control over, right? And when you just allow the power of your heart to flow, and when you really feed it with your breath, those obstacles just seem so much smaller. At least that's the experience I'm having right now. If you're not, if that's not relatable, that's okay. You just stay with your breath and stay with whatever feelings are real to you, right? Don't let me talk you into anything. This. Don't let Leah talk you into anything either. We're good talkers, but it's about your experience. It's about what is true for you, what is real for you. We don't want anyone to put on any airs, right? Least of all us. We don't have time for that. This is about what's real, what's true. Now, as you breathe in, your heart is taking in light, and just feel your heart is shining. The light that you take in, right? And this is light is just another term for energy, right? Breath is energy, breath is life. If we see it as light, it is light. There is that truth to it. And then as you breathe out, feel your heart right in the center of your chest, just shining like a powerful light. And the obstacles that surround you are like ice that just melt away with the light of your heart, like snow melts away in the sun. And just like ice melting, it might take some time for the power of your heart to work its way through, right? That's life in the world. Things take time. It takes strength, it takes patience, it takes courage, it takes steadfastness to believe in yourself, to believe in your journey, to believe in the energy of your heart, like in that story that Leah told, right? The princess who hears the whisper, hears her beloved one who's come, right? Here's the one who, her friend, right? But doesn't quite believe in it. What a common experience that is. I've had that experience myself so many times, right? Because your heart is absolutely magical. And, we trained ourselves to live life in this limited world where to be aware of our boundaries and our limitations and all the things that are holding us back, and to be painfully aware of how small we are. And it comes to a point where we don't even really believe in our true nature, which is infinite, unbounded, perfect, and eternal. That endless light that our hearts are just filled with and are just brimming over with. That love and that light is just pouring forth all the time. That flow goes on forever. As you breathe in this very powerful way. Deep, slow, rhythmic, heart-centered, full breath. Just tune into the light of your heart shining forth on all the obstacles and giving you the answer that is right for you at this time. Sometimes it's right to take a leap. Sometimes it's right to wait. Sometimes it's right to take a small step, sometimes a larger step. Sometimes it's right to not attack something directly. Sometimes it's right to go around, to find a doorway that you didn't know existed, right?
Mm.
You know what is best for your life. I don't know. But I know that your heart has an incredible wisdom in it. Your heart can give you solutions, give you insight, give you strength, give you power that you just never knew existed. And I know that for me, opening to that power, that richness, has just changed my life so much. It's like night and day. And I feel so grateful to have discovered that. And if I can share even a taste of that with you, I'm very happy. All right, so take a final breath. And when you're ready, then you open your eyes and come back and bring our meditation to a close.
Thank you, Asatar. Mm. That was really wonderful. Mm.
Have we reminded people lately that it's okay if you cry during your meditation?
Not enough. We need to always remind them when it
It's
comes to heart rhythm meditation,
not
it's often a
required,
natural,
but it is
not
okay.
required. Yeah, one of the things you said, like that reminder of like sometimes the way, like, because a lot of time it's like we have to feel it to heal it is like a really common thing. And I agree actually with that. But sometimes to go through is actually not the way, and we have to kind of find a side way, right? Like you were saying, and I
Yeah.
really like that because it kind of wakes up my like mischievous mind. Ooh. But it's kind of funny over the last 2 weeks or so, I had to like break into two different places. It sounds so weird. I
As
was
Leah
on a
is not a
family.
criminal by trade, a yoga teacher and meditation.
It was places that I was allowed to go into, but I nonetheless had to break in. And so like one of them was with my niece, and we went back to their hotel room a family vacation, and nobody was there, and so I just slipped right in through the window in front of my niece. She's like, "You stay here. You don't do this." And then the other one was just the other day. I don't know how, like a friend of mine, they have a house, somebody at the house, and they got locked out. And we do not know how that bolt got locked, but that bolt would not come unlocked. And I had to like scale the fence and like go to the back and find the right door that opened. And so, yeah, and I think that that's true for my life right now too, is like, we have to get creative. Sometimes the doors are locked, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
you have to get a little bit creative on how you find your way back to yourself, really. Right.
yeah. Or what's the right
So,
energy for a certain situation, or
mhm.
we don't want to create some kind of one size fits all, thing
No.
or whatever, right? Everyone has different energies, and you have a different point that you're at, and we want to just really respect that, right? Like everyone's journey is unique, and we don't think that your journey should look like our journey, right? Like, I mean,
Right.
you know, we think it should look like your journey, right? Like whatever that is. But you,
Yeah.
the power of your heart is just very, very helpful, So
Mhm.
um, that's something
Mhm.
that, like I think of as if there is something to this, right? It's like, well, opening your heart gives you, whatever quality it is that you need, right? So, but we could focus on certain
Mhm.
ones, and right, when we do this,
Mhm.
because your heart is so multifaceted. There's so many kinds of energy there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I was listening to the audiobook Sapiens this week, and there was this one section on well, it's toward the beginning of the book, but it talked about how basically like the differentiation of the human species,
Mm,
from the rest of the animal kingdom is that our ability to believe in myth, essentially. And
mm,
without myth and without story, we couldn't lead more than 150 people at a time. And
mm,
I found this really, really fascinating because it's like, I think it has to do with today too, because it's like, what are the stories that you're telling yourself? This is how important mythology and storytelling is. It literally curved our ability to have a cognitive revolution as a species, right? So, like, and it's being used against you. So,
right.
you know, so, yeah, so knowing like the stories that you're telling yourself, just discovering what is the mythology and the stories that you're telling yourself, it becomes a very important question, because it is very much influential on your life. And we would never tell you which mythology to believe or which story to believe, but just ask yourself, when you're down or when you're struggling, you're going through your obstacle, what's the story you're saying? And just trick yourself, tell yourself a different story, or draw on an inspiration that has a very different storyline, um
Right.
yeah, so
This reminds me of a saying. Sometimes people say, worrying is meditating on fear, you know?
interesting. Oh God, I do that
Yeah.
all the time.
Well, so it's like like your question is really a good one, right? Like, what is it you believe, and do those beliefs serve you?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to just accept your beliefs, right? I mean, like you could change
Yeah.
beliefs, right? Like what if you started going through life saying, my heart's energy is more powerful than the energies that come towards me, right?
Yes. See,
That's
I'm
a,
all about that.
yeah, that's a very powerful one. And of course, like any belief, it's
Yeah.
a challenge, right? There's going to be times where you're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I feel so overwhelmed. It doesn't feel to me like that's true, right? And so, but that's the nature of
Yeah.
belief. Always struggle with it.
Exactly, exactly. And even myself, like even me, like I forget that storyline in my mind. It's like almost like to me, it feels almost like there's like like smaller self, like the more identity self, like, and then there's my heart, and my heart is just much, much more powerful. And my smaller like identity self like says, I can't do this. I'm too limited. I have whatever the hell. And it tells a whole story.
Yeah.
And it's like I too like completely forget, that the reality is like our hearts are extremely powerful. And it's just a matter of accessing it. And so it's like sometimes it takes time, but it will be there, you know. The river will make its way to the ocean. It will be there.
I had this incredible experience on retreat once, Leah, where I had such a just incredibly palpable feeling of the light shining from here, right? And
Wow.
I was like, it
Uh-uh.
was so strong. I mean, it's hard to convey, you know. You get into this
Yeah.
place on retreat, you know. I mean, you've done so many retreats that
Yeah.
you get into this other place, and energy feels so different. It feels so much. You have such a fuller understanding of it, you know, like it comes into color for the first time or something, you know. And I was like, oh, I could shine this on anything in my life and transform it.
Mm.
How come I didn't realize that before? How come I haven't been doing that all the time? Right? That was my thought. Like, well, now I've got the
Yeah.
key, right? Now I can do that. But you know, I mean, the nature of this thing is like we remember something and then we forget it again and we remember it again, and you know, we make
Yeah,
progress
exactly.
nonetheless, right? So
Yeah.
we got another comment here
Oh,
from Philip. We are always sharing whether we know it or not. Very true. Yeah, very
I
true.
love that. It's true. Yeah, it is. It is. It's like we don't know, our whole thing has an atmosphere, and we can tell, you know, when someone needs us, or people tend to like come toward us when we need
Yeah,
them. Hopefully, that's true.
yeah.
If not, come hang out with me. Because I'll definitely
Another.
make sure to be there with
How,
you.
how can the heart guide one to the third eye, mind, light? Um, that's maybe a little bit more of an involved question, to be honest, right? Like we have a lot to say about this, but
Yeah.
you know, basically, like the third eye is the center of insight and intuition. You know, um, and you know, our feeling, I think, our experience is that um, your insight, that especially that subtle perception, right? Because the third eye is, you know, this is a spiritual center, right? It's not an actual physical eye, right? But it's something which perceives subtle energy. Um, so, you know, like my experience, I'll just speak for myself, is that your intuition is a lot more powerful and a lot more reliable and a lot more in tune when you really open your heart. So
Mm.
that's the answer that I'll give to that question. But we'll talk more about this in because I think we could probably do a whole class just on that topic.
Yeah, maybe this was a topic for us to talk about. Yeah. Nice one, Philip. Nice question. We also, the thing with heart rhythm meditation too is that we perceive the heart's the center of us. So there's seven chakras, and the heart's in the center of the seven. And we feel like, just like your heart physically will circulate nutrients and oxygen through your whole body, energetically, your heart will circulate light, um, whatever you're meditating on, quite frankly, and it'll circulate that like through your whole body. So again, if you're meditating on worry, if you're meditating on on something that you're thinking about constantly, concentrating on something negative, a negative narrative, storyline, myth for your own being, that's going to affect you as well. But the positive is that it's like, by going into your heart, it has such a huge effect. And our heart has a magnetic field about 60 times greater than our mind. So we're literally sitting in our heart's field. So by going into and through our heart, we can like help more of ourselves at one time. So
Yeah,
that's in line with my experience as well. But it's like, it's very much a holistic approach. There's no part of us that's not important. So third eye is important, root chakra is important, etc. Especially for me, root chakra. Oh goodness, I avoid that one a lot. Oh goodness. Okay, well, let's meditate. Thank you for the question. Um, So go ahead and just come into your posture. I like to move a bit. I'm doing some seated cat cow motions for my spine. Just getting a nice little stretch in. And then when you're ready, settle into your posture. And you are welcome to lay down, especially with this meditation, in the sense of that we're trying to be more in the line of healing, working, wading through obstacles. So if you feel like you're exhausted and want to lay down, please feel welcome to do that. And then we start with for this moment in particular, let's start with our intention. And so, what is it that brought you here to this moment? Ask your heart this, don't ask your mind for a moment. So, try to differentiate, try to see, can you feel, can you hear your heart speaking? Sometimes it's in words, but sometimes it's just in feelings. And just allow yourself to tune in and really feel in your heart what brought you here today? What's your intention? Why do you want to meditate? Why do you want to be here? For me today, it's more of a feeling than words. And so, since I have that slight connection to the feeling, I'm going to deepen it by feeling it more. It's like I'm almost growing energy from the deep part of my heart, like deep inside my heart, and I'm letting that energy grow by focusing on it. And I'm also letting it grow by breathing with it. And so start to deepen your breath and feel this interaction between your breath and your heart. How energetically your breath can soothe your heart, but it can also expand any energy that you're holding in your heart that you wish to expand specifically. But it's not a mental process. It's very much it's from an authentic emotional base inside of you. So authentically look at your heart and feel your heart and try to get in touch with that deeper wish in your being, that deeper light inside of your own self. Feel the glow. Feel the glow deep in the core of who you really are, who you feel yourself to really be. Inside of you, feeling that direct contact with the core of your own being and the glow within that core. And focus all of your mind and your mental energy as much as you can onto this place inside of you. And you do that through emotion, I find. So you can even kind of touch in with your own purpose, your feeling of purpose. And I know that that's a big question, right? But I know from myself that there's always this feeling in the center of my being. It's this light, this beacon inside of me. And I don't have the answers, but I do have this feeling always. You can knock on this door of your heart, and if it's locked, find a window and feel the light that's already there, already who you really are, who you truly are within yourself. Every single cell on earth is fused in the light of the sun. It's not that crazy to think that light exists in the center of yourself. And then ask yourself, what is the oil that keeps that light burning? And look in your heart. So I'm asking you these questions, right? Look in your heart for that answer. Look in the deepest parts of you for that answer. Feel the glow and then ask yourself, what is the oil that keeps my light burning? And again, since you're learning to, whisper with your heart, you're learning to speak to this light inside of you. It might not come through with words, and this is almost in a way a leap of faith in itself, is that you just stay open to feel, open to hear, perceive. It's like if you had a child and or you could even be like a puppy if you're not really a people person, or a plant, right? Baby plant. The child won't be able to speak for such a long time, right? Won't be able to form actual sentences or words for so long. And how do you find that connection? How do you find that communication with something you love, right? So I'd like to invite you to place that same energy that you would on something you love onto your own heart and listen to it with that kind of keen intention of being present, fully present, and fully open to really developing a relationship, to really building something. What is the oil that keeps your light burning? And if you have it, even just a taste of it, breathe into it, make it bigger with your breath. Make the energy grow from the inside out. And then I want to encourage you to place a word on your heartbeat. So, a word that helps you remember, a word that helps you remember who you are, and a word that helps you remember that potential inside of us, the reason that we like the heroine and the hero's journey, the reason we like to see the inspiration of other human beings, carving a way, carving a path forward. something that represents inspiration for you, something that represents that core fundamental beacon inside of you, something that sparks it within, helps you to know and remember. And so it could be any word, it could be a phrase. Double beats are nice because they fit with your heartbeat. And so I like to place words that mean all of life, such as omni, on my heartbeat, to help me remember that in the core of my being, in the core of your being, you're connected to everything. You're connected to all of life. All of life lives within you because it is you. You're like a cell inside of a body that has all of the DNA within even this individual cell. And that's at the center of your being. So pick a word that helps you remember that light, that glow. And then as you breathe, place the word on your heartbeat. Even if you have to pretend, or if you would like to place your hands on your heart to help you feel your heartbeat. But don't go to your pulse tonight. Let yourself really stay with your heart. And this isn't a test. You can't do anything wrong right now. But play with this powerful idea, this powerful experience of placing that word that helps you remember the truth of your being, the story of your most excited, inspired, passionate self, something that represents that for you, and then place that word on your heartbeat, or that name on your heartbeat as you breathe. Full, deep, complete breath. And as you place this word on your heartbeat, or this name, or this energy on your heartbeat, feel how your heart is calling it to it. Feel how your heart is almost beckoning this energy with every beat, as if every beat of your heart is a longing for that realization. And even if your heart is feeling heavy still, or even if you know there's a lot of barriers to getting to that between space where the light starts to come through again, that's the leap of faith right there. It's like you have to believe in your own being, believe in your own life, believe in your own light and the influence of your own love. And that even though there's some dark clouds, the sun is still burning, right? That's just like your heart. Every time you catch it, every time you catch either the oil or the flame, breathe right into it and make it bigger. And call on that energy, that inspiration, that word of remembrance. Call on it incessantly, like persistently, until it actually comes, until the river reaches the ocean and the wave of the ocean comes and meets it, because it is beyond anything we could imagine with how much energy and how much power there actually is. Right in the center of your own being. We're out of time, so go ahead and, as you're ready, move your body. Thank your body for sitting, for meditating, and then open up your eyes.
Nice meditation, Leah.
Thank you. It was a deep one.
It's lovely to be with you all. Thank you so much for joining us for this live stream. If you'd like to support the show, we have a link to the Patreon. Don't forget to follow Leah on Instagram if you want more wisdom and beauty and inspiration in your life. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but Leah teaches yoga in Tucson, Arizona at Yoga Oasis.
Yeah,
Find yourselves there. Take a class with her. You can thank me later.
I love it. So sweet. Yeah, thank you, Asatar. Thank you so much.
And we will be here next week. If you have something you'd like us to discuss, drop us a comment or send me a message on Twitter or hit up Leah on Instagram. And
yeah.
thank you so much for being with us tonight. Namaste.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.